23 years old, sitting in a rented room, staring at a bank balance that read 4,000 rupees, and a laptop screen open to a job application that had already been rejected twice. That was not the beginning of a success story. That was just a Tuesday. But 18 months later, the same person had crossed their first 10 lakhs, and by the third year, they had touched their first crore. Not through a lottery ticket, not through a miracle stock tip, but through a set of decisions most people are too impatient or too scared to make. If you are watching this hoping for a shortcut, stay anyway, because what you are about to hear is more useful than a shortcut. It is a map. The first stage of this journey was the hardest one to admit out loud, and it was this: a salary alone was never going to be enough. Not because jobs are bad, but because of simple math. A steady paycheck grows a little every year, while expenses, rent, family needs, and inflation grow right alongside it, eating most of the gain before it even reaches a savings account. Look at any list of the world's wealthiest people and a strange pattern shows up again and again. Almost none of them got there purely as employees. Most built something, invested in something, or owned a piece of something that grew without needing their hands on it every single hour. That single realization is often the real starting line, long before the first rupee of real wealth ever appears. Once that shift happened, the second stage began, and it was less glamorous than anyone expects. It was not about finding one brilliant idea overnight. It was about testing small ideas quickly, watching which ones people were willing to pay for, and dropping the ones that only sounded good in theory. A freelance skill sold on the side. A small trading account, opened small on purpose, treated as tuition rather than a jackpot. A tiny content project that made almost nothing for the first 6 months and then, slowly, started paying rent. None of these things looked impressive from the outside, but this is where things get interesting, because the goal was never to look impressive. The goal was to build a second stream of income that did not depend on showing up to an office at 9 in the morning. But here is the part most people skip, and skipping it is exactly why so many who make good money never actually become wealthy. As soon as money started coming in, it did not go toward a new phone or a nicer apartment. It went into learning first, then into small, boring, unglamorous investments. Index funds. A recurring monthly investment that never got interrupted, even in months that felt tight. A little gold, a little in fixed instruments, a small amount tested in global markets once there was enough of a cushion to afford the risk. None of this made for an exciting Instagram post. Compounding is patient, and patient things rarely look exciting while they are working. They only look exciting years later, when the numbers finally catch up to the effort. The surprising part is what almost derailed everything around year 2, right when the first real profits started showing up. That is usually the most dangerous moment in anyone's financial story, because early success invites a very specific trap, upgrading the lifestyle before the wealth is actually secure. A better car on EMI. Branded clothes bought to prove something to people who were never really watching that closely in the first place. It is an easy trap, and it has quietly ended more financial journeys than any market crash ever has. The decision to stay boring on purpose, to keep living below what the bank balance now allowed, was not a fun decision. It was the decision that actually mattered most. By the third stage, something had changed that was harder to see than the money itself. Discipline had stopped being a daily struggle and had simply become identity. Waking up early was no longer a discipline exercise, it was just what happened. Saying no to random spending was no longer a fight, it was just the default. That shift, from forcing good habits to simply being someone who has good habits, is the real dividing line between people who get rich once and people who stay rich for decades. So if there is one thing worth carrying out of this story, it is that the first crore was never really about the crore. It was about becoming a person who could build one, lose some of it to mistakes, and still know exactly how to build it again. That skill, once it is learned, does not disappear. If you are on this path right now, drop the year in the comments when you think you will hit your own first milestone, whatever that number looks like for you. And if this kind of story is useful to you, stick around, because there is a lot more of this journey still to unpack.